Welcome back to my channel, y'all. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to the channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program. Information about the technology used on targets, the tactics used on targets, and information about the program in general. All right, y'all. I'm not gonna do that same stupid thing that I've been saying in the last 5 to 7 videos. I know that video with me on camera is coming, blah 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 blah. What I'm gonna do instead is attach this video. I'm gonna see, hopefully it works out. Hopefully, if you're listening to this now, you've already seen the video with me on camera. What I'm hoping to do is, because I haven't made the video yet, y'all, I didn't get a chance to make it this morning, like I said I was gonna do in the last video. What I'm hoping to do is make this recording here, not upload it, and then tomorrow morning, if the most spares my life, make the video on camera with me basically taking the halometer test to prove that my breath doesn't stink. And when I take that test, I'm gonna merge the two videos, and hopefully I can upload both videos. So anyways, so this video here, y'all, is being made now, but it's obviously not gonna be uploaded until I'm able to merge it to the video with me on camera. So I'm not gonna make that announcement because obviously I will have made that video with me on camera. Anyway, sorry for the rambling, y'all. It's just a complicated thing I have to talk about. It's humiliating. I don't really want to deal with it, but it's something I have to talk about. So it's been a long time since I've made, and I don't even know if that's what this was or if it was programming, right? But it's been a long time since I've made a dream manipulation video, right? It's been a very long time. The last time, I haven't dealt with that in so long, right? The last few dream manipulation videos that I've made was a while ago. Let me go through how many of them I have. I have a part 1. All the way through to part 7. So you can see the last dream manipulation video I made was 8 months ago. I haven't been dealing with it. I haven't been having any strange dreams in a long time. I haven't had a strange dream in a very long time. In fact, the last strange dream I had, I didn't document it. And this was a few months ago, before I started working the day job, when I was still going to the gym in the morning time. And that ongoing thing that I just recently talked about in my videos was going on with those 2 guys in the gym, the Italian guy and the guy that I announced was my type and blah, 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 that ended up backfiring. Around that time when the Italian guy's name was ticking in my head excessively, I did have a dream about him. And I know they remember this happening to the gang stalkers because it was so humiliating when it happened. And I even talked about it, even though I didn't make a video about it. That dream was even more humiliating than this one. That dream, I actually woke up with, in the dream, it's explicit, that's why I didn't want to talk about it, and I never did. Right? Because it's humiliating. And I think it was just my fear of them kind of painting the narrative that I was being thirsty when his name started ticking in my head. When really it was the race sensitization and the angst of that. That was what was causing the tick. But I know them, and I just knew that they were going to paint it like it was me being thirsty and this and that and whatever else, especially with what was going on at the time in the gym with him. But it was this humiliating dream where I was laying in the tub on my side. Just weird dream, it's always these weird dreams. And again, there are other targets that complain about this. Let me show y'all something. There's a video I have talking about this technology. Evidence of mind control technology used on targets. Please check out that video, y'all. It talks about the capabilities of the tech. They can send you vivid dreams. They can send you vivid dreams with this technology. Also, another video you can check out is my diagram of neuro-monitoring effects on the targeted individual. There again, you can see that they have the capability to send you vivid dreams with the technology. I haven't had that happen in a long time. And the vivid dreams that they have sent to me, I made videos about it. The Italian guy one, I didn't make a video about it. I just kind of talked about it because they were making Rev campaign when it happened. I kind of just talked about it out loud. And I explained, it's probably dream manipulation, this and that, and whatever else, programming. I didn't make a video about it because, again, it was humiliating, similar to this situation here. This one's only more humiliating to me, even though it wasn't even as explicit. It wasn't even explicit, really, but it was still just weird and humiliating. But it wasn't as explicit as the dream with the Italian guy, but it's still more humiliating because it would seem to support the narrative that they've been throwing at me about me being gay. Because they've been throwing this narrative hardcore at me for the last... they've been throwing it since I got back on the island, trying to push that narrative. But these last few months in particular, I don't know what's causing that. I don't know if it's the stuff in the gym or what's going on. But they've been... look at how they're making the sound with the crickets. That's to tell you. They've been hardcore pushing the narrative that I'm gay. So I feel like they think because I treat men... listen to the noises. They think I treat men this is hilarious. They think that I treat men the way that I treat them because I'm gay. Why would that make me mistreat men? How many gay females are out there? Do you see them mistreating men? No, it's reactive abuse. I know they understand the video very clearly, and I know they saw what that guy was doing. And it was a reaction to what he was doing. Before that, I was kind to him. I'm gay because I didn't go on a hike with him? Like, I don't understand, because other than me not going on the hike with him when he gave me his number, I wasn't rude to him. I wasn't disrespectful to him. I didn't start getting nasty and have that one bad reaction until he started doing the stuff he was doing in the morning time when the other thing was happening with the Italian guy. So they're gaslighting me again and trying to support this false narrative. I think they desperately want this thing to be true because they don't like me. Listen, earlier at lunch, right, before the thing they sent me that kind of confirmed that they know about this dream, earlier at lunch, I was watching a video about, I forget who it was, and they were saying something about, who was it, Phaedra from not Love and Hip Hop, from Real Housewives of Atlanta, and they're talking about Mr. Chocolate. If you're familiar with the show, you'll know about this incident that happened years ago, when she and Apollo were going through the divorce and stuff, and she was supposedly talking to Mr. Chocolate, this dude, on the low, and Kenya couldn't wait to get that tidbit on her because they had been ragging on Kenya for flirting with her husband or whatever. And so they all felt like Phaedra was this stuck-up, bougie kind of whatever. And so they were happy to have something on her. Listen to the noises. This is crazy. And so they said they were so glad to have something to pull Miss High and Mighty down or something like that. They made noise campaign at lunch when that part played. Like, they just, it's this thing where I'm screwed because they want me to be guilty. They don't like me. They feel like I'm this stuck-up bitch that said offensive things. And they want the false narrative to be true. No matter how much it doesn't add up or make sense, they still just want that shit to be true. It's terrible. Anyway, so the only reason I'm even bringing up the thing with the Italian guy, because trust to believe you me, I wasn't going to talk about it on a video. It's so humiliating. Is because I want to back up and validate that this is not the first time I've had a weird dream about somebody. And actually, the dream with him was actually explicit. And the dream with this coworker here wasn't explicit. It was just strange. So anyways, and I believe it's programming and psychological. I'm going to explain it in a second. So with the Italian guy, though, this was months ago when this happened, by the way, so I'm not trying to rehash this now. It was months ago when it happened, but again, I'm just bringing it up as a reference point, because you should see how some of them started acting in there as soon as they got the confirmation. I'm gonna explain to you. It's just crazy to me. Like, it's just horrible. They just don't like me. But anyway, so with the Italian guy, it's embarrassing. I'm just telling you this dream happened. I don't know if it was dream manipulation or just psychological, but I definitely wasn't having fantasies about him. So I don't know where this dream came from. It came out of nowhere. They're reading my thoughts, apparently. So I know they know I wasn't fantasizing about him. So anyways, I just woke up. In the dream, I was laying on my side in a tub. There was no water or anything in there. I was just laying on my side in the tub. He climbs in behind me naked and starts touching me. Not to use the word touching. This is so humiliating, but this is what happened in the dream. It happened one time, this dream. And so when it starts happening, the dream starts turning sexual. And if I didn't pull myself up out of the dream, it would have been a wet dream. But I pulled myself up out of it. I started learning how to do that last year when all those weird dreams were happening. I strongly believe they're using dream manipulation on me, because I never had dreams like that, especially back to back to back like that. Even prior to trying to relocate off island because of the targeting going viral and stuff, they were watching me. I don't believe they were using the neuromonitoring tech on me at the time. They saw what was going on. I was never waking up and having wet dreams and all that type of stuff like that. They were watching me. For 2 years straight, I was on camera before I tried to relocate. I wasn't having weird, strange dreams. That didn't start happening until I moved back home. And actually, it happened in Florida before I moved back home. I think they were using tech on me then, too. I made a video about it. When I was staying in my sister's house, right? I remember I was staying in the car, and this was when they were using the technology, the shadow networking technology, and they're sending a bunch of weird shit to me, trying to push the false narrative about the tech. All then I believed the technology was being used on me. So I remember I had went over to my sister's house to sleep at her house one night, and I went on the floor, and my brother-in-law was sitting on the couch. Mind you, I made a video about this. I've never had an incident like this with him before. I lived with them for years and years and years. You know how much times I fell asleep in front of this man and nothing like this ever happened to me? All of a sudden, all these people are involved. They're using the technology on me. I have this weird wet dream in front of him. It's strange and weird, and it's manipulation. So anyways, I was laying on the carpet in front of him, and I was exhausted. For days and days I've been staying in my car, dealing with the targeting and all these people on top of me, all this crazy shit that was happening, and them using the technology, the AI shadow networking software to paint the false narrative. So I finally got in the house. I was so terrified to go over there by them because of what was happening. But I was so freaking tired, I just passed out. As soon as I got there, I laid on the carpet. I was so skinny too, I had lost a lot of weight. And I passed out on the carpet, and my brother-in-law was sitting on the couch. I can't tell you what the dream was about. I just know I woke up humping the floor. It was a complete wet dream. I woke up and I was humiliated because he was up and he looked like he got uncomfortable, and he got up and he went to the back. And then my sister came on and she kind of had an attitude with me. So I think she saw what happened. Like, she's not even using her brain. Like, for years and years and years, I have lived with you and your husband. Even before y'all were husband and wife, when y'all were still boyfriend and girlfriend. That's how long I've been there. I never had a dream like this in front of this man. We've never had an inappropriate moment. All of a sudden, all this technology is being used. And I think she wasn't aware of how advanced the technology was just then, because I wasn't either. But all of a sudden, now all these people are involved. This weird narrative is going. They're using technology on me. I lay on the carpet. I'm super skinny and emaciated. There's no way my libido was up. I wasn't horny at all. I was freaking on death's door, actually. And I pass out on the carpet, and I wake up and I'm humping the floor. I'm like, when I later learned about the tech, I realized they were likely using it on me then too. There are so many targets that complain about this thing. The capabilities that they have with this technology. Please check out this diagram of neuromonitoring video. The capabilities they have, they can frame somebody if they want to. So anyways, fast forward from that. All last year I was having a bunch of weird dreams. I don't know what it was. It was like back to back to back. So it started in Florida. When I tried to relocate off island, they started using the tech on me. And then when I came home, all of last year, not last year, I'm saying the wrong thing. It wasn't last year. It was I keep forgetting we're in 2025 now. It wasn't last year. It was year before last. Some of the dreams took place last year, but majority of those dreams happened year before last, in 2023. That was when it was real bad. And all of a sudden it kind of just slowed up and then stopped. And then I went back to normal and not having these weird dreams. So they're fucking with me, right? They want me to so bad. They do not like me, I'm in a really bad way where they have all this technology and stuff and they don't like me. Like, I'm really in a bad way right now. They can do just about anything. So anyway, that's what happened with the Italian guy. It was one dream. Thank the Most High. It wasn't like a consistent back-to-back thing. And I know, again, that they're reading my thoughts. So I know they know I wasn't sitting there fantasizing about him. So anyways, what am I, some bisexual freak that I'm fantasizing about men and females? How come I never knew this about myself before? Now I'm targeted. All of a sudden, I'm this freaky ass individual. Like, I'm so not that. Like, if you really know me, I'm really not that. If I get a guy and I really like him, then yeah. But it's not like a situation where I'm out there being freaky. I'm actually like quite the contrary. Actually, if you talk to my sisters, yeah, I'm quite the contrary. Anyways, I have to really like a guy to even go there with him. Anyway, so because they're really just doing the most with this thing. Like, trying to paint it like I'm this freaking sex addict or this freak or whatever it is they're trying to paint it as. It's just fucking lies. So anyways, I forgot what I was going to say now. So now here's the situation here that happened. So the other night I had this dream about my coworker. And I think I feel like I don't know if it's dream manipulation or not, but I feel like it could possibly be dream manipulation. It could be psychological. It's embarrassing. I'm humiliated to talk about it. It could be dream manipulation. It could be psychological. I don't know. But there's this coworker in there that they tried to create something with before I even had this dream or this thought about her, right? They were trying to create something with her, and it's my fault, really. what happened is, and I made a video about this already, me getting in my own head and overthinking things, it really ties back to, it's funny how this even started. It ties back to the homewrecker narrative, and then it turned into a different narrative. Like, I cannot make this shit up. This is my life. So before I even got into the facility, I made a video. I don't remember which video it is, y'all. But if you've been keeping up with my videos, you'll be familiar with the situation. Let me scroll up to the top, though. That's why I actually started writing a song just now. It's such a coincidence. When I left the facility today, I make my best music when I'm going through something. And I'm constantly going through something. I'm targeted. But, like, when something fresh happens in the targeting and then they throw a beat at me, like, that's when I make some fire-ass music. It's crazy. Like, it's true what artists say, like misery, and not even necessarily misery. It could be joy, just strong emotion. Whatever that emotion is. If you're feeling a strong emotion and you're somebody that writes music, that's when you make your best music. It's the weirdest thing ever. But anyways, I just wrote a song and I was just vibing to the beat and really just freestyling it. And the lyrics sound fire, but it's just like, I don't even want to freaking finish making that thing right now because it's so inappropriate considering what I have to talk about, considering this dream. So anyways, let me give a little backdrop story with this coworker. I've talked about her already in the videos. It really started with her husband, actually. So, here they go. Jesus Christ. With the plane. So before I even got to the facility and met her, I was feeling feelings about this. Hold on, y'all. Let me stop the video and I'll continue in a minute. Yeah, like I was saying, y'all. Before I even met her, my mind had already started formulating this scenario. It was PTSD and sensitization, basically. I've talked about this already, y'all, where they program something into your brain and then automatically you become sensitized to certain things, and you might even overthink things sometimes and create things in your mind because of the trauma and the PTSD of programming and the perpetuation of false narratives as a target, right? So I made this video already, y'all. I don't even remember which video I talked about this in, to be honest. Let me scroll in and see if I can. It was either the part 1 or part 2 targeted individual career update. It was one of those videos where I talked about it in. But anyways, y'all, in the orientation before I actually got to the facility, like I said, some of y'all may have heard the video. If not, check it out, so you can be familiar with the situation. I'm going to give you a brief summary of what happened and how I kind of created something with her, This is completely my fault. So anyways, when I was still in orientation, towards the end of orientation, it was only me and this other cadet, right? He was in the neighboring island, so not on the island that I'm on. So it was only 2 of us recruits coming in, a small amount of recruits coming in this time to become correction officers. I'm the only one from my island, and again, in the neighboring island, they have this other recruit. Remember I told you all I'm from the Virgin Islands. So we're a series of 3 different islands that consist of the Virgin Islands. You have the United States Virgin Islands, and then you have the British Virgin Islands. I'm from the United States Virgin Islands. So I'm on one of the islands, and this cadet that's in training, like me, is on one of the neighboring islands that's in the United States Virgin Islands. So anyways, him and I were training together via Microsoft Teams video call. And sometimes it'll be a trainer on his end that would come in the screen and be teaching us for the day. And sometimes it would be a trainer on my end, but typically it would be on his end. Anyway, so him and I were going through the process. It's about a week and a half, the orientation, before we actually got sent out to the jail. And so towards the end of orientation, there wasn't much else to do. We had ran through a lot of the tests and stuff and a lot of the lectures. And at this point, we were supposed to start training for the police academy test. There's like a pre-test that you have to pass in order to get the green light to go to academy. So you have to be in shape to even make it over to academy. You have to pass this long, vigorous test. I talked about it, y'all, in that, I think in that same video and several videos, over the course of the last 2 months or 3 months, I talked about this test, this upcoming test that I was nervous about. And even though I'm in shape, I've never been a good runner. I played basketball. I played Sorry, I heard a noise outside, y'all, and it made me. I just cannot believe this doing. I can't believe they're doing this. And I heard somebody go when I said runner. Like, I just cannot. I cannot make this shut up. Anyways, y'all, they're just playing one set of games and messing with my head. But anyways, I've never been a good runner, despite my history of being someone that's played sports. Like, I played basketball, I played soccer, I played volleyball, I played like every sport you could think of, basically. And I just, even though I was in shape and I was really good at the sports that I played, I was never good at running. Like, and when I say not good at running, I'm not saying I can't run. I was really fast, actually. But I mean, endurance. I never had good endurance. So I was one of those players that would burn out fast. So you put me in for the first half of the game, and by the second quarter, I'm already burnt out. And I'm needing to sit on the bench and catch myself, to get back in the game. Like, I've always been like that. And I could catch myself rather quickly, but the burnout, it happens quickly for me. I don't know. It's just something with cardio and me that never agreed. So I'm not a good runner, and this is why I wanted the training for the PT test, because even though I'm in shape and I've been working out recently too, y'all know for the last year I've been working out, I'm strong physically, yes, and the endurance is built up because I've been working out, but I'm not a good runner. Never have been. I've been in the highest, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm using poor grammar. I've been in the best shape of my life before in the past when I was younger, and I still wasn't a good runner. Like, burn out fast is just something with me. It takes like a while for me to build up my endurance, and even still, when I'm in my tip-toppy, I'm still just not a good runner, the cardio. Anyway, so I've always preferred anaerobic exercise to aerobic, because it's just like, I like the weightlifting and the building of muscles, and I like building a sweat in that way instead. But anyway, so I didn't know how I was going to do on this test, because I recalled that 2 years ago, before I tried to relocate off island, before my targeting went viral, when I had applied to become an auxiliary officer. And I talked about this experience in my prior videos, y'all. What happened with that. I'm not going to rehash that right now. I don't want problems. But anyways, when I applied to become an auxiliary officer, I took that test 2 years ago. And I was completely out of shape back then. I was not working out back then. That was one of the off times for me. Remember, I told y'all throughout the years I've had off and on times with the fitness. That was an off time for me because the targeting was ongoing. I didn't know I was a target at the time. I was working 2 jobs. I was teaching during the daytime. I was doing security at night, and I was eating a lot of junk. So I was completely out of shape.
Stop talking.
Anyways, y'all, so sorry about that interruption. I had someone in my close circle that had came out on the porch and was telling me to quiet down, basically, like, stop talking, take a rest. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more quiet, but you guys can still hear me. Anyway, so like I said, around that time, and if you want to hear the experience with the auxiliary officer thing, I do have a video I made year before last about it, where I talked about it briefly. That's this video with the thumbnail with me in the short pants and the shirt that says more targeted individual information and more details about my story. In that video, you see it's like 4 hours and change long. I talked about several things in that video. I also talked about my experience trying to become an auxiliary officer and why it didn't end up happening. But I don't want to rehash that now because I don't want problems, and I'm actually in the process now of trying to become a corrections officer. I'm still only a cadet. But anyway, so back then I was out of shape, and I took the test and I passed by the skin of my teeth. And it just so happens, that I'm, despite, like I said, having been out of shape at the time, because I'm somebody that works out off and on throughout the years, I've been that type of person, and I've always been into athletics and sports. I believe that played a major part in things. Also, I think genetics, but mainly that, it's called muscle memory, and your muscles can remember being fit, basically. So if you're somebody that's worked out throughout the years off and on, or been into sports or athletics, if you've been out of shape and you hop back into fitness, you get back into shape a lot quicker than somebody who's just starting out for the first time with fitness. Your muscles can actually remember being in shape, and your organs and everything like that. Your body can remember being in shape. So it automatically starts getting back. I know it's defining the bat by to be shady, but it's called muscle memory. So anyways, I think that's what played a part in things, just that, that residual fitness that I've always had in whatever. And then also to like genetics, I've always just been kind of, like I said, muscular or whatever. So it worked out for me. I passed by the skin of my teeth, but I remember that running part being real difficult. Like I remember them telling me like, yo, nurse, you just made it. I remember them telling me back then, you just made it. Like I had just passed. If I had came like a second later, I wouldn't have passed that thing. And so now this time around here, I was like, okay, well, I passed back then and I was out of shape. I'm in shape now. I should be able to pass. But I remember how difficult that freaking run was. And I was just like freaking sweating bullets and I wanted to practice the running. So anyways, I remember, like I said, towards the end of orientation, they started talking to us about training for the test, and the fitness test. And so he's not a coworker. We're not working at the same facility. He's on a different island to me, but we're working for the same entity, right? We're working for the same government jailing system. Remember, it's for the United States Virgin Islands. So he kind of is a coworker, but kind of not. I don't know. Technically he is, because we are working, like I said, under the same entity as cadets training to become correction officers, but he's at a whole different facility on a different island. Anyway, so he started training. His trainer started working with him. And I remember them telling me that my trainer was going to be the same guy that had already given me a physical, the initial physical I took to even pass through and get the job in the first place. So I remember being excited about the idea of starting to work, because I remember, like, as we got towards the end of orientation, sometimes we would finish early because we had kind of ran through everything, all the lectures and the tests and stuff. And I'd just be sitting there awkwardly in the room, so I just was like, if I could leave and do the practice, that would, pass the time. Obviously, I like fitness, and I actually felt like I genuinely needed it because I'm not a good runner. Also, too, I'm aware of the fact I'm being watched on camera, y'all. Like, I know I'm targeted. I knew I was being watched on camera, so that also added to me not wanting to just sit there. And, so anyway, I remember I just, like, whenever I would ask them about the training, it was just kind of like I was getting answers about it, but it wasn't, like, definitive answers, and it felt like I just wasn't getting a sure answer about it, where my counterpart, the guy over in St. Thomas, had already started training with his trainer. So then I remember when I got over to the facility now, I was getting a tour from one of the lieutenants in the facility. He was giving me a tour of the place. And I remembered asking him, like, do you know when my training is going to happen? I still haven't started training yet. And he kind of, gave me this kind of answer that wasn't, again, a definitive answer. It was just like, haven't heard from him and I don't know, this kind of way. And then when he gave me that answer, he said, but here's his wife. He pulled me over to meet his wife. And so for me, in my convoluted mind, because of PTSD and trauma, I just kind of felt like I was getting the brush off, because maybe they felt like I was some sort of loose female, homewrecker type female that goes after females' husbands, right? And so maybe that's why they didn't want me working with him. And I don't know, I just thought that in my mind, man, because they kept throwing the homewrecker thing at me all last year. They were doing it, and in 2023, throwing that thing at me hard because of the cyberbullying, cyberstalking debacle, right? So I was just like, I wondered if this was the situation. I just, in my head, I thought that I wasn't gonna make a video about it. This is something I wasn't sure about. I couldn't prove, right? So it's not something that's how humiliating to make a video about that and you're not even sure. I already learned my lesson about making assumptions and putting my foot in my mouth. Assumption is spelled ASSUMPTION. And they say when you make assumptions, you make an ass out of yourself. So I try not to do that. I've done that enough. The only reason I even made a video about the assumption was because when he actually did come to the jail, her husband, I never got the training. Eventually they just it just was like, you good. Just run and make sure you're okay. And I realized now it was likely because they know I work out and they know I'm in shape. And so that's likely why they didn't give me the training. But in my freaking, like I said, traumatized PTSD, convoluted mind, I was concocting all the stupidness in my head that maybe they felt like I was this loose female and they didn't want me working with him. So I remember when I saw him, I had this awkward ass reaction, and then they started flying the fly in my face like crazy. And then I noticed the next time they made him come around me and sit purposely and look in his phone, and they started doing something with him. After I had that reaction, I was like, nah, I got to make a video about this, because I was not going to make a video about it. How humiliating. I didn't want to make an assumption, but because I had that awkward reaction around him, PTSD, The same kind of reaction I have around females sometimes because of them pushing the false narrative. They started flying the fly in my face. And so I've made the video about it, talking about why I was reacting like that. And so then it started turning into something with his wife. Now, anyway, let me rewind though. When I met her now, when they put me to meet her, I recognized her because before I actually came to the prison, you know how they're shady with the shadow networking technology. They started sending me videos about the company, I almost said the name of it, I'm trying not to, that I work for, or the government organization or entity that I work for. They started throwing videos from in the facility, from in the jail at me. So they had some day where they had brought some students over to talk to one of the, I guess you could say, ex-inmates, because he's not an inmate anymore. And he was just giving them like a lecture, and they had some other inmates there to lecture the kids too. And not kids, children. Let me use proper grammar. Kids are baby goats. But give them lectures to students, right? And just warn them about how you can get in trouble and end up in here, you know, and just giving them a lecture. It was a dope. I actually sat there for the whole hour and change and watch. And I was like, "Whoa, I can't wait to get in there." Like, even though I'm targeted and I'm awkward and stuff, it was fascinating watching that video. But, you know, a part of the video was they showed her, the wife, kind of giving like a tour of the jail and some of the inmates walking behind her. And I remember the guy describing her. He was describing her as he was walking through, as she was giving the tour of the jail. And he was saying, basically talking about how she was a badass and how she's one of those officers that not to play with, don't mind how she's a girl. He was saying like she done, you know, hold up man that had a knife and thing, and he said she brave, she see the big knife and she ain't run or nothing like that. She see the knife and she stand there and she didn't run. And they said, you know, knife that cut a man belly open and make them have shit bag and all kind of thing. Describing the knife, you know, like in them serious kind of knife that could cut a man open and make them have shit bag and thing, you know, like because it really fuck your guts up. Like if somebody cut you open like that, you end up fucked up. Like your intestines, everything messed up. They have to put a colonoscopy, I think is what it's called. I don't want to say the wrong thing. You have to get a colonoscopy, and then they end up having to connect a shit bag to your, you know, like to your intestines. Like it's a horrible sight to see. I've seen something like that before when this person had gotten a bad car accident. I've seen it on the internet before, but not in real life, and not because of a stabbing. So of course that made me a little bit nervous, but I myself am kind of a badass female, and I'm not scared of men or fights or anything like that. I'm not trying to buck up and like, you know, challenge anything and say that I want anything. I don't. But I'm just saying, to me, it was like exciting. And so I kind of thought she was a badass the way they were describing her, the way she was dealing with the situation and pulling out the knife, and she wasn't scared and bigging her up. So I already recognized her from the video though. So when I walk up, I'm like, damn, this is the wife? You know, I'm just like, oh shit. You know, like I hope the freaking narrative in my head is incorrect. So, and the initial meeting with her too, I just felt like she didn't really necessarily care for me either. She wasn't rude or disrespectful. It was just kind of like I'm good at vibing up people's energy. And when I first met her initially, I just felt like she was one of those people that didn't care for me. Remember, I've made a lot of videos, I've offended a lot of people, blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, all of that added to the stupid whatever I was concocting in my head. So anyway, I saw her husband eventually in the facility, and it was just kind of this thing like, you're going to just do your own thing. Like, just work out, you good, you got this. And so the first time I saw him was like in passing, and I didn't act awkward. But it was when he came into the unit that I was in, where I was sitting up under an officer, and we were doing a fire drill, and I had to have a long-winded interaction with him. That was where I was acting badly, and I couldn't look him in the eyes. And similar to the reaction I had with this lady that works in the medical treatment building, where I was sitting in the office with her by myself, and she was trying to tell me about this insurance package, and I was acting the same exact way, and they were gaslighting me about that too. It's PTSD and trauma from them pushing these false narratives at me, and also being keenly aware that I'm being stared at by everyone. They were even doing noise campaigns when I was in her office. I heard laughing outside and all kind of stuff, and they're flying to fly in my face. Anyway, so I had that reaction with him, and they were flying the fly in my face, and then I noticed again they brought him around, and he was looking in his phone, and they're flying the fly in my face again. I said, let me make a video about this and knock this down before it turns into something, you know, let them understand why I reacted like this. It's me and my own stupid brain, but it's also PTSD and trauma. So after I made the video and I explained what was going on, I noticed I started seeing the wife more. Like sometimes I walk down by the area where sometimes they give her like special assignment, and so she'll have the rec area where they have the gym and the workout equipment, which I was already fascinated with that area, by the way, because I think that area is cool, where they have the workout equipment and stuff. But I noticed after I made the video, sometimes like I like, there was like 2 or 3 days where every time I was walking down, she'd be walking by me. Like, just, I noticed it. Like, just kept walking by me. And I think it was because of the video. Like, whenever I make videos about people, sometimes they'll insert the person more in my path. I don't know. It just, that's what it seemed like. It could have been a coincidence. So that kind of created this, like, thing in my head where it's, you know, I just can't explain it. It started to, like, become like this programming type thing where I felt like this anxiety now when it came to her because of that situation. And so then also another thing that happened was there was a day I was working out in the gym. It was actually this week, where not this week, it was like 2 weeks ago, where I had the week off because of carnival or whatever. And I was working out in the gym and going ham too, because they were doing some gang stalking stuff. Remember I told you they've been doing this thing where they're blocking the mirror, and things have kind of amped up since the thing with that guy and whatever. Anyway, so I remember I was kind of in show-off mode that day. And I was kind of just going ham on the... But I'm really genuinely squatting, though. Like, that's the stuff I would be doing anyways. It's just that I start doing it in this pompous way whenever they start blocking the mirror and stuff. So this was one of those days where I was moving kind of pompous. Anyway, so then I ended up leaving and going to the shopping center because I needed to go into the insurance place to get something notarized. This had something to do with the paperwork that I had to submit. They're doing the most right now. They have the crickets turned up to the highest degree. They're humming my ear out. It's ridiculous because they know all of this stuff happened. And again, I think they just wanted the moment to stay, whatever this is. I'm going to explain what happened so that they could again propel the false narrative because they don't like me. It's terrible. So now they're humming on me like my belly's burning right now. And they're actually doing the cricket in my ear and all. It's just horrible. Anyway, so anyways, after I went out there, I realized that the notary was closed because they too were closed for the holiday. So I'm walking back to my car, and as I'm headed to the parking lot, I see one of the vehicles for the facility stop and give me a break. So as I'm crossing, I look in and I think I saw her. I don't want to bear false witness. I'm not sure if it was her, and I'm almost like 80% sure it was. I want to say 70% sure it was her. Like, I literally walked right in front of her car, but I was so basity that I didn't want to look directly at the person. So I kind of looked, like half looked and turned my head quickly. I just recognized that it said so-and-so of corrections, you know, so it was one of the facility cards, but I couldn't tell if it was her or not. I'm pretty sure it was her, but I'm not like 100% sure. So that too added to the angst. I'm like, oh my God, like now I'm seeing her in places, you know, and I feel like it's because of my stupid, you know, mind and putting my foot in my mouth. And so it just created this thing, man, of angst with her, you know, and so it turned into this thing, man. And so that's where like her husband just completely got negated from the whole situation. And it just more so turned into this thing with her rather than him. And so I don't understand how it led to me having this dream that I had. It's just so embarrassing, really and truly. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's an attractive female. She's beautiful. She really is. But I'm straight. I like men. It's not even that type of party. I think she's a badass. I do. And if anything, there's angst there. I'm not a fearful person. I don't really fear anyone. I'm really strong. But I mean, I heard she's a badass. And then I had another dude in the jail that was telling me stories one day. The same dude I told y'all that eventually throughout the interaction started sipping on water and stuff. But he was genuinely telling me stories and stuff. And one of the stories he was telling me about was her. He was telling me she's one of them females that will fight man, and she ain't afraid, and she grab man and this and that, telling me stuff. So just like a level of angst there with her. And then now too, they're also externally, the external gang stalkers, it's like they're keeping up with everything that's going on with me, play by play. Like somehow they picked up on what was going on too, because every time she's coming out of any building and I'm walking up, they start revving by outside. Like they really started to create something with her. So anyway, her husband got completely negated from the situation. It was just her after a certain point, and it became this thing. So anyway, the other night I had a dream and I didn't talk about it. It was humiliating. I had this dream. I don't really want to talk about it either. It's embarrassing. It wasn't like what happened with, like I said, the Italian guy. It wasn't that bad, but it was bad enough. Like, it's embarrassing. So I don't know why, right? But we were in this kitchen area. It was supposed to be like a house party. And we're in this kitchen area and she was like partying and it seemed like she was drunk or something. And so I grabbed her arm and I took a cup of water and I fed her the cup of water and I said, be careful. And then I said, where is so-and-so? And I said her husband's name. And so then her husband came in and he grabbed her. And then I just walked off. I just walked out of the kitchen. And then that was it. It's like I woke up from the dream. So this was the dream that I had. And I didn't say anything about it because it's embarrassing. I don't even know why I'm having dreams about this lady. It's so embarrassing. So then yesterday, I was watching, I don't remember what I was watching on YouTube. This was yesterday. This was last night because I didn't have work last night. I was watching something on YouTube. I can't remember what it was. But they started talking about, it was basically that narrative about me being a homewrecker. And so whatever it was I was watching on YouTube, I was scrolling through. And I tried to change the subject, right? But, you know, in my head, I don't know why, but I did think about that dream. I thought about the dream as I was scrolling through. And I saw the thing about Scrappy, because they keep sending me Scrappy trying to push this narrative about him basically messing with all these women, and it's like he's back and forth between them. They've been doing this since last year, like trying to paint the home wrecker narrative with Scrappy and trying to push it like, I don't know, they keep pushing it like I don't know if they're trying to play it like I'm Erica, his baby mama, the first girl he was with, and his new wife that he actually married, Bambi, is supposed to be that guy's wife. But they keep pushing Scrappy at me and trying to push that narrative. So they're doing that yesterday, and as I was pushing through, I actually thought about that dream. And so it's like thinking about the dream, I noticed I'm scrolling through my timeline, and I see they sent a picture of a model, a lady, a dark-skinned lady, with cut hair that was blonde, like this lady. So it was basically like a emulation of her, a female that has her aesthetic. So I get Basity one time and I laughed and I said, I know what they're doing. And so I just scrolled by and I just tried to ignore it because I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm like, wait a minute, are they in my head? You know, I mean, I know they're in my head. But I was like, wait a minute, are they seeing what I was just thinking about, the dream I was just thinking about? So I just scrolled through quick and I said, wow, I just chuckled and I said, I know what they're doing. And I scrolled through, so I said, they're ridiculous. And I just scrolled through real quick. And that was it, that was that. So the night passes now, the next day happens. I'm at lunch today, right? And I'm sitting at lunch. The whole day went by. I didn't have any weird stuff happen. They weren't throwing hints at me. Nobody was acting strange or weird. So I go out to lunch now and I'm sitting there, and, you know, as soon as I get there to lunch, of course, they're doing noise campaigns like they always do. I said, let me call the counselor. I had an alarm set to call the counselor for the school down here, the university down here. I'm trying to get my master's, as I told you guys, in psychology. That's the goal, the end goal. I want to become a psychologist, right? I'm working as a corrections officer right now. And it's not like I'm trying to leave them anytime soon. And actually, I'm still trying to work for their company, just in a different position. The end goal for me is becoming a psychologist. I'm really into mental health. And actually, back in the day, I wanted to be an addiction psychiatrist is what I wanted to do. But I didn't want to go through the process of medical school, etc., etc. Anyway, so that's the goal now, is to get my master's in psychology and become a psychologist. And in the meantime, while I'm in school, work as a corrections officer, because it's going to take a while. And I still want to work for that company, like I said, but just under a different title as a psychologist. I don't know what they're revving by for the craziness. I'm just feeling uncomfortable about this. It's humiliating, especially since they all know that I had the dream. Not to use that term, they all know. But you should see how they started acting with me too when what happened. Right? So then, anyway, so after I made the call, you know, I didn't get through to whoever it is I was trying to speak with. I ended up leaving a voicemail. I'm just scrolling through my YouTube and stuff looking for something to watch. I see this clip. I'm going to show y'all now, if I can find it. And mind you, I didn't even know this is why they were moving weird with me when I went in there. I didn't put two and two together until I got in the cafeteria. At the end of the day, I was like, oh shit, I started putting it together. Because when I came in from lunch and they were moving, it wasn't everyone either. It was just like three people that did weird, that like had a weird action with me. I was like, what is the problem? I thought it was something I had said when I came into the office to the front office lady. And she was moving weird too. I was like, what is going on? And now I caught on to what was going on. So anyways, let me show y'all what they sent me, if I can find it. This. Look, first of all, this is not even how I grabbed the lady's face in the dream. It wasn't, I didn't put my hand under her chin like this. I had grabbed her face like this, and I grabbed the glass of water and I fed it to her. I didn't grab her underneath like this, so they didn't even do it correctly. So I don't know how the imagery looks when they're reading whatever, but this is not how it looked. I wasn't grabbing under her chin like that. I grabbed her, or you know, like when you grab someone's jaw and you try to feed them water from a glass? That's what it looked like. It didn't look like this, where you're putting your hand under her chin like this. I don't know what the hell this is, but it still reminded me of the dream. So I did a double take, because at first I clicked on it because I saw it.
He's so handsome. He's so handsome. Thank you, Tinky. Who's your Tinky? Oh my goodness,
this
my
is
sweet boy.
what made me catch it, because I was like, wait a minute. I said, wait, this looks, they knew what they were doing. They're playing one set of games. It's psychological warfare. So I said, wait a minute, this is looking a lot like the dream when I was feeding her the water. So I said, what? I remember doing a double take and getting freaked out. I was like, oh my God, they saw the dream. And so but I didn't think it in my head. I just immediately came out of it and got weirded out. And I came out of it and I just went into other stuff. And I started just watching stuff and I played it off and not knowing that they're done running with the thing inside the facility. This is some real scary high science technology, It's some real gnarly, scary shit. And they've been reading my mind for 2 years straight now. And actually, who knows how long really. But I think 2 years straight, they know full well they've never seen anything with a female aside from her. They've never seen any dreams or any thoughts about females. What they have seen, because I realized that they've been in my head for a little minute now. Remember I told y'all when I initially realized that they were in my brain was because I had been daydreaming about this Hispanic guy from my past. Right? I was playing the pool game and I started daydreaming about him because before I tried to relocate off island, him and I used to play pool together. The messy part is that he's my first boyfriend's best friend's brother. I know that sounds messy and gnarly and crazy. It's a long story. I actually knew him before I knew my first boyfriend. I didn't know him on a personal level, but he was associated with someone for my cousin. And so my sister and I used to see him and think he was handsome. So then a few years down the line, this is way back in the day, y'all, when I was like a teenager, I ended up with his brother's best friend, right? And so when I realized that he was associated with him, I said, wait, that's your best friend's brother? I used to ask questions, but not too much, not like being messy or not being like a hoe or anything like that. That's disgusting. I was with the dude at that time, but I always had thought the guy was handsome, right? So anyway, he started writing me before I tried to relocate off island when I was still targeted, but I wasn't targeted to this level. We ended up becoming friends on Facebook, and I went on the pool game and he played against me on pool. He sent me a pool request and then we started playing against each other, and sometimes he would write me, no big set of anything. It wasn't even like we exchanged numbers or anything. He'd just be like, hey, sweetness, what's going on? Or, which is like, hey, sweetness. Sweetness is sweetness. That's self-explanatory. But the island accent, what going on, that just means what's up. Stuff like that. Just little stuff, basic ass conversation that him and I would have in the chat. And then we would play pool together. And he was decent at pool. So it was fun playing against him. There was several dudes from down here that I used to play with because I'm real good at the pool. And so I used to play against him before I relocated off island. But I was playing pool like crazy in 2023. This was when I was like unemployed and laying up in the room all day long. And so I remember just daydreaming about him because I was like, dang, I wish I could play pool with him. But my targeting had changed at this point. People weren't really associating with me like that, especially in 2023 when it was really at the height of whatever. And so I remember this was around the time when I found out they were in my head. It was June of 2023. I have the video. Hold on. It was, that was one of the videos that got deleted. Oh, that's so annoying. But the reason I can I know when it happened was because this reposting gang stalking activity video, in this video was when I found out. Because I remember that was around the time when I had went outside and I was riding my bike and I was working out and I saw the trailer outside. You see, they remember. That's to tell you, they're keeping up with me play by play, they're keeping up with everything that's happening with me, Anyway, so I made that video about the trailer that was outside of my house in the old neighborhood. And at that time was when they revealed that they were listening to my thoughts. They flew the bird by when I thought this thought in my head. And then around that time, too, they played against me on the pool game with the dude's name. Right? And so this is how I knew they were in my head. And I was daydreaming hardcore about him. Not anything explicit or sexual. But I was kind of like having like a female daydream about him. I had a crush on him. I was daydreaming about him. So it was so humiliating when they played against me with his name. I was like, wait a minute, are they in my head? At this time I had just started learning about the Neuro-Monitoring and the nanobots and the microchip and the this and the that. And so I couldn't in my wildest dreams imagine that they would have taken my targeting that far. I couldn't even believe I was a target still. Anyway, so that was when I realized, and since then I've had daydreams about men, and I know they've seen them, several, right? I actually try not to anymore as much because I know they're in my head. But other than that, they haven't seen me. They send so much females around me in little short pants, little girls, all kind of nasty, weird stuff. They have no freaking evidence or any videos or recordings in my brain of me thinking about any females. She's the first one. And it's embarrassing. Really and truly, it's really embarrassing. Anyway, oh well. It is what it is. I won't be gaslit. They started, doing whatever with her. And again, it's my fault. It is my fault. But, all of these different things played a part in things too, I believe. They could have done thought manipulation, dream manipulation to humiliate me. Who really knows? But anyway, so anyways, I was sitting out. So after I, made the phone call and stuff, and I was watching videos and stuff, I came into the facility. I'm in there now and I'm, put my thing through the machine. The front office lady that I have an okay relationship with, like the other day, I actually stayed out there with her the whole day, and had me laughing towards the end of our shift. And she was telling me something funny about when when she used to do security still, and they didn't have a bathroom. She was telling me something that was hilarious, had me cracking up. But it's like an okay relationship with her. But, I noticed, like, she didn't act weird with me. It was really at the end of the day was when she was acting strange. Like, I noticed, I said, hey, bye. I said, okay, I'm out of here. Take care. And she didn't really answer me. And she had this look on her face. And then the other girl came out the bathroom with a piece of paper in her hand. So I thought that was kind of strange. And typically she usually says bye or whatever. But at lunch she was still talkative, but I didn't catch on that maybe that was maybe conversation with innuendo in it. But I remember after my thing went through the machine, she asked me, what they have for lunch today? And I said, they had tacos. And she said, oh, yeah, I don't like tacos. I didn't know, maybe she was saying that towards me. I don't know. Maybe let me not hop to conclusions. It's just the real convo with innuendo, the directed convo that happened when I came into the facility. That for sure was directed convo. I'm speculating with this front office lady. But when I got in there, that was some directed convo when I got back to the unit that I was scheduled to be at for the day. And now I understand it, right? So anyways, before I even got to the unit, they told me the warden was calling me. So I went into the office and she genuinely was calling me. She gave me the timesheet and she was showing me where I was going wrong with filling it out. I wasn't putting the exact time that I was coming in, and, so she had started filling out the one for this pay period for me. So that was genuine, and she wasn't acting strange or anything. The lady that's in the front office of the warden, there's like this main office area, and you have like different offices, and of course you have the secretary. The secretary is acting strange. She's usually friendly and bubbly. I mean, I've noticed some stuff, like I think Loki, like, probably don't care for me like the other people, but she's still usually bubbly and friendly. It's just like sometimes sensitization, it seems like a little bit, but nothing major, like to talk about or anything like that. She's still usually very bubbly and friendly. But I noticed I walked by her to go in the warden's office, I heard her go, So I was like, okay, it's like, oh boy, did I piss her off with the answer I gave to so-and-so, the lady in the front office? Because remember, she asked me what they had for lunch, and I said tacos, and she went, oh, yuck, I don't like that. And I said, what's wrong with you people? I said, you don't like tacos, you don't like spaghetti, what's wrong with you guys? Day before yesterday, that same secretary that I'm talking about that was going, when I walked by her, she asked me what they had for lunch, and I told her spaghetti, and she went, oh, I don't eat that. So I figured that me saying that maybe offended her. So I thought that's why she was acting like that. So when I went to the warden and I got the paper, and then I'm walking back, she started going, again, when I'm walking by her. So I was like, why is she doing that? So I was like, oh my God. I said, it's not that serious. I said, I was just joking. When I said you people, I was just being funny. I was just like, you don't eat tacos, you don't like spaghetti, a lot of you guys in here. And I love those type of foods. I kind of Americanized, even though I like island food too. I'm Trini and this and that, Tomi and Crucian. I love island food, but I'm Americanized. I like burgers and tacos and spaghetti. I do. And Italian food, I guess, because it's spaghetti. But, because, they'd be shady, whatever. Make sure I'm correct with what I'm saying. But she was just like acting like that. So I was like, dang, because I said that thing about the you people, what's wrong with you people? I said it in a joking way. I was like, oh my God. I thought that's why the lady was mad. I thought that's why she was making the noises when I walked by. I had no clue what was going on. Completely in the dark, pun intended. So then I get up to the unit now where I was at, right? With the officer I was in there with. I see this inmate in there. He's usually super friendly to me. Like, how you doing, Miss Nurse? And, extra conversing with me extra and all this extra stuff like that. He was moving strange too. He was doing some strange stuff in that office. And I think he probably done caught wind of how I was treating that dude in the gym too. Because even as he was wiping the tables, he was going and making noises and stuff. And he's usually super friendly and like extra contact, conversation and stuff. He was just moving strange. I was just like, oh boy, he probably done heard about this. Is what I thought was going on. I figured that the comment that I made about you people don't eat spaghetti or tacos. What's wrong with you people? I figured that's what had pissed him off. In addition to the fact that, probably whatever with the gym. But I was like, all day I was here and they weren't acting like this. But that guy, I had just seen him for the first time for the day. So I figured his tiff was the gym thing. He probably heard about what happened. And then that comment I made about you people, what's wrong with you people? You don't eat tacos or spaghetti? Little did I know it was way deeper than that. I had no clue. So he's there eating aloes. And he said, some people really wicked for real. They say your thoughts are wicked things. He said, and some people, have wicked thoughts, but some people wicked for real. He just has an issue with me. I'm sure it's because of some of the things I said about the guy in the gym. And I would know why he would act like, I know what it is. I think a lot of them in there have an issue with me because of these reactions I've had. Some of these guys, I think. And then more stuff too. It's just a lot. It's always the reactions that create problems for me. So I think there's more to it with him. But then in addition got wind of this thing here with this lady, this dream thing here. So it's just like running with it, of course. So I just noticed the energy was, jeez. Sorry about it, guys. Hold on a second. Yeah, so he's going on like that, and eating the aloes too bad, and just going on saying a bunch of directed convo and your thoughts and your this and your that, and he said, eating this is so good, it's so good for you. Eating this is so good for you, is what he said, and my coworker feeding off of it too. She said, for real, it's always the people you know, and she was saying angels are real for real, and you remember that you were using the angel sensitization on me too in the car in Florida when they were using if you've kept up with my story, you'll be familiar with that. Using the AI shadow networking software to paint the false narrative from the text message. So the two of them going back and forth, like real directed convo. I'm just like, what is going on? It's like, what craziness is this now? I even started thinking it in my head because whenever I hear the sensitization at work, I don't think anything about it. I really behaved at work. I am well behaved at work when it comes to these thoughts and these reactions because I really want to keep my job. I'd be having I'd be going off in person and not in person, in real outside of work. Like, the gym, for example, like with gang stalking activity. But at work, I know like a lot of these people are forced to be around me because we're co-workers and I know I've said offensive things due to targeting. But nonetheless, I know some of them have whatever feelings towards me and it's not their fault that they have to be around me. So if they're doing gang stalking stuff, I typically just let it rock. And I don't have a reaction, right? And it's gotten a lot better too since I've been there. But this was just ridiculous. I was just like, in addition to the secretary going, when I'm walking by and them having this directed comment, I'm like, what is going on now? I was like, I literally went outside. I was replaying in my head what happened. I went to lunch. I said, I called the counselor about the master's program. I watched a few videos. I didn't even think about that thing that happened on the screen. I should have thought about it. I don't know why I didn't think about it. But I'm like, I went out there. I called it. Now I'm thinking about it. It's just so embarrassing. I said, I called the counselor for the master's program. I said, is it that comment that I made? Now I'm getting bashful because I know they're staring at me and I know what it's about now. It's embarrassing. But I was like, is it because of that comment that I made to the front office lady? I was like, oh my God, are you serious? I said, when I said you people, I didn't mean it in that way. I said, I was just joking. This is what I was thinking in my head. This is what I thought they were going so ham about. And it wasn't until when we got to the end of the day and, I was working in the kitchen today and the lady that I actually had the dream about was outside and she came in. Mind you, it looked like flying the thing by now. So I was sitting in the corner by the table. I was already just kind of bashful because more officers had come in, right? More officers had come into the cafeteria, right? For the closing of the kitchen. And this is often how it is. So this wasn't them doing anything or setting up anything. There have been many times where I've gone in or I'm leaving at the end of the day and I see a bunch of officers there by the kitchen. So this is really genuinely something they do. Like a bunch of them run the kitchen because it's a lot of guys in there and stuff. So you need several people in there. Right? So that's not out of the ordinary, but it's the other stuff, the reactions and their thoughts. Oh my God, right? So when all those officers came in, of course, I felt a little intimidated because thank you. Because I know some of them don't care for me. I'm not meaning to suck my teeth, but the interruption, my mom's telling me there's food out there. Anyway, so, I know some of them don't care for me, as a target. So I always feel awkward when it's a bunch of them coming in. You know, like when you're new to a school and you're not necessarily fitting in, right? But you're at the school and you're at the lunchtime, or you're at the playground at recess, and all the kids are that know each other are gathered together and you're off in the corner. It's reminiscent of that. What happened today, right? Which isn't a big deal. We're grown adults. I'm there to make money and go home. I'm not trying to be a bitch, but I understand I'm targeted and it's fine, right? Like I said, as long as we respect each other and we get the job done, kudos, it's good to go. And some of them I do have conversations with, and it's cool. So anyways, I was just feeling, awkward sitting in the corner. I hadn't even seen her yet. I was just sitting in the corner and the guys are coming in, and today they were doing this thing where they were letting them eat inside of the cafeteria. I've never seen them doing that before. I should have asked why that's being done. It's something different now that I noticed happened today. Usually the food is taken up to their unit. They'll come get their food and go up to their cell with it. So I'm not really sure why they did it different today. But they're actually having the guys come down and eat in the cafeteria. And so it was kind of awkward for me because remember that just recently, that video I told you guys about, that gang stalking experience at my new job video, where that detainee tore me a new one. So that was kind of nerve-wracking for me to be working the kitchen so close after the incident and knowing that his group of people would be in there sitting and eating. So anyways, I was sitting in the corner just kind of coloring in my coloring book because there were so many of us in there, so many officers. I felt like we had everything covered. So I was just sitting there coloring to make the time go by. And I got up, I was like, let me go outside for a little bit. I went to go outside. I noticed that the officer I was sitting under was standing outside talking with the girl that I had the dream about. So, of course, I did a big U-turn because I was humiliated about it, right? I didn't know that they knew, but I knew that somehow the technology, at least whoever's controlling the technology, obviously saw the dream. So I really didn't know how far it went. I didn't think they knew, though. I really didn't. It's just more so just embarrassed that I had this dream about her and feeling angst about it. So I turned around and I tried to do a U-turn and go back to the table. So I sat at the table and she was outside with her dog. One of the officers, actually, I think the only one, that has almost like a canine dog. You know how they have like the canine unit with the police department? I guess they have that in the facility too, but she seems to be the only one that I see with a dog. So this all adds to the badass image, right? She has the cut hair, she has the dog. I just feel like she could kick my ass if she wants to. I'm a fight. I can fight, right? But at the same time, I'm not a fighter, and I don't know. This adds to the badass image, right? So I see her out there with the dog. I did a U-turn. I went back to the table and I sat my ass down, right? So I just kept coloring and stuff. And I didn't even see her come into the cafeteria. I'm just sitting there basically and coloring. And somebody just walks up to me and starts talking to me. I realize it's her. And so she said, hey. She said, having fun coloring? I said, yeah. I said, hey, how you doing? Because even though I had, like I said, this awkward dream about her, to my knowledge, she doesn't know. So I talked to her like things are regular and like she doesn't know about the dream. So I said, hey, I'm okay. I said, how you doing? I said, yeah, just trying to pass the time. Because this is usually what I tell people when they ask me about the coloring. And she said, okay. She said, well, when you're in here and the other officers are in here, and this is not verbatim what she said, but it was like the gist of it. You have to have eyes on the floor at all times. So all of us need to be up and alerted at what's going on. I said, okay, my bad. I said, I got it. I said, I'll get up right now. I moved the book. I got up. I started walking around. Right? I felt awkward, right? So I was trying not to have eye contact with her and stuff because obviously I know, like when you have a strange dream about somebody and then you see them in person and you feel awkward around them, except it's much worse when you're targeted and technology is being used on you. It's very uncomfortable and embarrassing. So again, I didn't feel like she knew about it, but it's still just this feeling of embarrassment. And so I was just trying not to really make eye contact with her. And then I was already feeling awkward about all of them kind of piled together, and I'm new and then I'm targeted. I don't really fit in fully like that. So I'm just just walking around. I just kept walking back and forth and just keeping an eye on what was going on. So then the unit with the dude that tore me the new one, the detainee that tore me the new one the other day, ripped me a new one that I made the video about, that gang stalking experience at my new job video. His unit came down. And so when I realized they were coming down, I asked the supervisor, I said, hey, can I go outside for some air? Because I just didn't feel like him attacking me today. Too much was already going on in my head and too many people were around. I just didn't want to deal with that. Right? So I was just like, can I go outside for some air? He said, sure, go ahead. Excuse me. So I went and I excused myself and I went outside for air and I went to the back, right? And so they were in there having lunch for a good while, and one of the coworkers actually came out and he started talking to me and stuff. And I realized, I'm probably out here looking like a freaking punk for real, not to use that term because it's so derogatory, but I don't mean it in a gay way. You know how they use that word and it has like a double meaning and it means coward? I don't mean it in the gay way or in the derogatory way, so I'm not trying to offend that community if that sounds offensive. That term was actually thrown at me when I went into the back into the cafeteria. But I wasn't trying to act like a coward, you know, because I'd be standing up to all these dudes outside of the facility. Why am I letting this little guy, like, intimidate me? And it's more so, it's not so much being fearful of him as much as it's being fearful of my reaction and not knowing how to react, because I'm in a different setting now, and it's a setting where I refuse to react the way that I do outside of the facility. I want to be professional, and so it's just like not knowing how to react if he attacks me again. And so that's really what it was. But I'm like, man, I'm being a coward. I'm like, why am I out here in the back hiding out while this dude is in there having lunch? You know, how am I ever going to get respect if this is how I'm moving from him opening his mouth a little bit with me? I've dealt with way worse. So I went back inside. You know, I excused myself from the coworker. I said, let me go out in there and do my job now. And I went inside and I stood up on the wall and I purposely stared at him. And he started doing this weird thing with his face, and he was talking to two of my coworkers, actually. And that was it. He didn't say anything to me. Everything was cool. From there, he left. And I think one other unit was coming down, but at that time, it was pretty much time for me to leave. You know, so as we're waiting for them to come down, I'm like, why is she doing that? So as we're waiting for them to come down, you know, they all started talking, all of the coworkers in there. And I heard them saying stuff, you know, they're saying stuff with sensitization in it, obviously. Directed convo. I was definitely hearing some directed convo, and then they were also having real convo with themselves. But one of the things I almost certain I heard was them saying something about feeding something with their hand and feeding someone with the hand and this and that, and it's just some of the stuff they were saying. I started catching on to what was going on, and I was like, oh my god. I said, they know about the dream. Okay, who cares? Anyway, so it's like, oh my gosh, they know about the dream. I'm getting so annoyed. Like, you told me there's food out there. Okay, I'm coming out there to eat it. Like, no, that's fine. Interrupting the video. I'm almost done. You know, that's irritating. Someone in my close circle, y'all. Anyway, it's not a big deal. And so I'm just like, oh my god, they know about the dream. Like, that's, you know, it's already I already explained this to y'all, because this has happened to many people before, where you have this weird dream about someone and you can't explain why you had it, but the person doesn't know you had the dream. Imagine being targeted and them having access to your brain and your innermost thoughts, and knowing that you had this weird dream, and the person that you had the dream about knows about it too. How humiliating is that? Especially with this false narrative that they've been trying to perpetuate, and it's a female. You know, it's just so embarrassing. So anyways, I went back into the cafeteria, and like I said, I heard them having this conversation. But before I heard them having the conversation they were having, as I went back into the cafeteria, one of the guys said, something is a punk. So the word punk real hard, right? So I was just like, what? You know, I was just like, okay. I just felt like it was, you know, him using directed convo, because one of the dudes that likely has a problem with me, because he's now privy to the things I've said, not knowing it is tied again back to this damn dream. So as I'm standing against the wall, I'm hearing them talking and chattering and whatever, I realized I'm hearing certain things being said. I was like, oh shit, they know about the freaking dream. I said, that's what's going on. And then I started thinking about the directed convo when I came back from lunch. I started thinking about the secretary's reaction when she was going, and all this stuff like that. I was just like, oh shit. So that's what's going on. So it's like, I have to make a video about this. It's like so humiliating, but it is what it is. You know, I'm human. I'm targeted. I'm being programmed. They kept throwing her, you know, in my path for a while there. There was already some angst there. All of this was created, again, by me. But it was PTSD, right? It was sensitization. And then this is why I said programming is a real thing. Because look at me now going around feeling like people are thinking I'm a homewrecker and creating problems for my own damn self from the programming. Similar to them acting like I stink, and now me shrinking back even though I know I don't stink. It's the same thing. It's programming and PTSD. It's like literally psychological warfare. It's so humiliating. Anyway, so I need to make a video about it, because I felt what was brewing, and I could see they were going to run with this thing. I said, I have to make a video about this. I'm not letting, nothing's going off without me defending myself. Anyway, so that's why I started moving like really like I was hiding in the corner and stuff, almost hiding, because it's just so humiliating, man. Anyways, that's it, man. I just wanted to talk about it and clear that thing up, because it's so embarrassing. It is what it is. I had a dream about her. Oh, well. I was feeding her water. Oh, doo-doo-doo. Like, okay. It is what it is. Anyway, I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace out.